So we've converted a quote to an invoice. So you can see the boiler install quote that we did that we've now converted, and here's the invoice. Alternatively, you can generate an invoice from scratch. You don't always have to create a quote and then convert it. It's the same process that you've just done with quotes. So whether you're on the Today tab or the Office tab, you hit the plus, and then instead of choosing quote, you would choose invoice. But everything is very similar to the quote process. There's just a few slightly different options just because it's not a quote anymore, it's an invoice. So you can't add options and extras because the invoice is something they're going to pay for. So there's no opportunity for the customer to accept or decline. You're just invoicing them directly for the job. So for example, rather than doing a boiler install, let me do a boiler service. This time, rather than choosing an existing customer, I'm also going to add a new customer. So there's two options for this. You can either head over to your customer list and hit the plus in the top right, or we can hit the plus in the top right here on the invoice. The same applies for when you're on a quote as well. So you can choose from the list, or you can create a new customer through the quote or through the invoice. Hit the plus in the top. And then here, same process, whether it's the customer list or the quote or invoice, or the certificate if you're a heating engineer, is you just add title, name, company, email if they've got them, and then we'll add the address, and then we'll add contact details and anything like that. So let me just go through this. And again, notice how when we added the Facebook ad previously, that is now a selectable lead source. So we can either choose that, or we can clear that off, and let's say we did a Google pay-per-click ad on a local search term. So let me just put PPC. Once we're happy, hit done, and then hit save. And then that adds up contact details and locations for that customer. So we'll just go through and add those. And we can add a location. Again, if you're at the property of the customer, you can use current location, or you can individually add the line items. For ease right now, I'm just going to use the current location. And again, as mentioned in a previous video, if you're on a street, it might be within 1 or 2 doors. So if you're at number 7, but it came up with number 10, obviously you can just go in and edit that as you need to. Once you're happy with the address, hit save. We can make that their main address. We'll back out. So now we've got their mobile number and we've got their address. I'm not going to add any notes, and obviously we don't have any quotes or invoices for them at the moment. We're just in the process of making an invoice. Once we're happy with the customer's details, we hit save. And now that customer is saved into the system. It's pulled the customer's name and it's pulled their address through. We can add a purchase number if we need to. I'm going to leave that blank for now. And then job description. So a boiler service for their boiler. Perfect. Once we're happy with that, we'll save it and then hit the tick. And then the same familiar process as you did with the quotes, it's the same for invoices. So you just want to add line items as needed. It's like with the quotes, we've got internal reference, then we tap that and we can either choose one of our saved line items or our brand line items. I'm just going to go ahead and put service. Add the description, which will show on the PDF. Once we're happy with the description, we can change the type here. So now a service isn't necessarily a material. It might be a labor, but if you want to add a markup, you can add it as an unspecified, and that will allow you to add a markup to something like this. Obviously, this is down to your discretion. You can choose to leave it as material or labor. I'm gonna leave it for labor for now. And then we'll put the cost in here. I'm going to save this for future use so I don't have to keep entering it in every time. So options in the top right, then hit save. That's saved. Then we'll back out. Tick that off. We're just going to have the one line item. So now that we've added our line items, we've saved that, and you can see the invoice status is in draft. We're happy with all these details in the summary. We can see the subtotal, we can see the total. The next step will be to send to the customer.